we started the recording. Then I'm going to share the screen. New attempt. So, welcome to lecture 3 of my classical Greek introductory course. Compared with the previous one, today's lecture will be rather short. This is because we have already dealt with most of the basic rules for form and syntax, which we need in order to be able to read and understand the first 2 chapters in our textbook. Today, however, we're going to look in detail at the different ways in which feminine nouns in the first declension can be inflected. These nouns are of a kind which in the nominative singular ends either in a short or a long alpha, or alternatively in an e. In classical Greek, there are 4 different ways nouns of this type can be inflected. To learn these, we will look at the examples oikia, which means house, nike, with a long iota, which means victory, astheneia, which means illness, and trapeza, which means table, or also bank in modern Greek. You find the paradigms for the inflection of nouns of this kind with other words as examples on page 40 in the Cambridge Grammar of Classical Greek. But in today's lecture, we will look at these paradigms in a different order, beginning with group 1, which is represented by nouns ending in an eta. And then we move to group 2, which contains nouns ending with the long alpha in the nominative singular. Our group 3, again, has nouns ending in a short vowel alpha, and which have an iota, a rho, or an epsilon before the final alpha. And then finally we have in group 4 nouns ending in a short alpha, but with some other letter than an iota, an epsilon, or a rho before the final vowel. So let us turn first to group 1 of feminine nouns in the first declension. In the nominative singular, these kind of nouns end in a long alpha. And this long alpha is also preceded either by an epsilon, an iota, or a rho. And this is so because if the long alpha is not preceded by an epsilon, an iota, or a rho, the concluding long vowel will not be an alpha, but an eta instead. And this rule applies specifically to the Attic variant of classical Greek. In some other ancient Greek dialects, particularly in the Western Greek dialects, like in Iolic Greek, which was spoken, for instance, on Lesbos, as well as in the Doric Greek variants, which were spoken in Sparta, the first declension nouns ending in long vowels all had an alpha at the end. And in its origins, long alphas were actually generally a much more common feature in the Greek language. And long alphas were preserved for a longer time in more conservative dialects, such as in Doric and Iolic Greek. But we will not be spending that much time discussing dialectical variants on this course, since the paradigmatic form of classical Greek, which is universally taught today, is the Attic variant. And learning it properly will allow us to understand the other dialects as well. However, to give an impression of how dialectical differences could reflect on the form the Greek words took in the classical age, I have placed the Iolic variant in clauses next to the words in the Attic paradigm for group 1 nouns of the first declension, which we have here. So on the screen, you can see how the Attic Nike, which means victory, is inflected in different cases in the singular and plural. And as we can see, this Attic Nike equals the Iolic Nika. So in the Iolic, it has a long alpha at the end instead of a long et. You may also again note the hyphen in the middle of the word, which I have placed there to highlight the stem and ending of the noun. Anyway, this is how the feminine second declension nouns ending in eta are inflected in the Attic paradigm. In the singular, we have nike in the nominative, nikes in the genitive, nike in the dative, and here you may note the iota subscript under the concluding eta. Then we have niken in the accusative and nike in the vocative. In the plural, we have nikai in the nominative, nikon in the genitive, nikais in the dative, nikas in the accusative, nikai and nikai in the vocative. In Iolic, in the Iolic variant, we have in the singular, nika in the nominative, nikas in the genitive, nika in the dative, and nika in the accusative. And the plural forms are then the same as in the Attic. So here you can also note that this iota subscript is visible also here in the Iolic form in the dative singular. Okay, but let's turn to group 2. So on the next slide, you can see how the feminine nouns ending in a long alpha are inflected. So as you can see, the pattern here is actually the very same for the Attic Greek oikia as for the Western Greek nika, since all Greek words in the first declension ending in a long alpha in the nominative singular are inflected in the same way. So in the singular, we get here oikia in the nominative, oikias in the genitive, oikia in the dative, and oikian in the accusative. And in the plural, we have oikiai in the nominative, oikion in the genitive, oikiais in the dative, and oikias in the accusative plural. Okay, but without further ado, let's turn to group tree, where we find feminine nouns ending in the nominative singular with the short alpha, and preceded by an epsilon, a rho, or a iota, and iota in this case, of course. So here we have in the singular asteneia in the nominative, asteneias in the genitive, asteneia in the dative, asteneian in the accusative, and asteneia in the vocative. And in the plural, we have asteneiai in the nominative, asteneion in the genitive, asteneiais in the dative, asteneias in the accusative, and asteneiai in the vocative. So what we may note here is again the iota subscript under the concluding alpha in the dative singular form. And you may note as well that in the singular, the concluding alphas are long in the genitive and the dative case, whereas in the nominative, the accusative, and the vocative, they are short. But I actually haven't written out this. If you think about this, the length of these vowels, so, which I mentioned, so I haven't written them out. Sometimes you can find them also written out if it's a long ending. You can find it written out as an sort of hyphen above the concluding vowel, but there you don't find them here because you won't find them in the text either. So, but if you look at in dictionaries, you usually, or sometimes at least, also find these long vowels marked, if they are not, of course, by nature long, such as eta. But let's consider now the last group of feminine first declension nouns, and these are the ones ending in a short alpha, and where the alpha is not preceded by an epsilon, an iota, or a rho. So in these cases, we get in the singular trapeza in the nominative, trapezes in the genitive, trapeze in the dative, trapezan in the accusative, trapeza in the vocative, and in the plural we have trapezai in the nominative, trapezon in the genitive, trapezais in the dative, trapezas in the accusative, and trapezai in the vocative. So notable here is that the endings in the genitive and the dative singular correspond to the endings in group 1. So they have an eta instead of the long alphas, which were in place in the corresponding endings in the preceding group 3. The rest of the endings, however, are the same as in group 3, as I have tried to make clear on the PowerPoint by placing the corresponding noun forms in clauses from the preceding groups. Okay, fine. There was actually nothing apart from the first declension feminine nouns on the agenda today. In the next lecture, we will acquaint ourselves with mediopassive verbs in the present indicative, and we will begin looking at adjectives as well. But one more thing, try to learn one of the paradigms for feminine first declension nouns by heart. So you can choose freely which one of these 4 groups you try to learn. So that was the end of the actual lecture for today. But here on the next slide, you can see the preserved parts of an inscription containing the Western Greek variant of Nike. And you don't have to stress if this text does not open up to you at this point, because as of yet this is actually, or can be, above your level. But all the same, the text reads Doron apargeion kai athanaion kai jonon taan dekataan niikkaas heineka tu olemu. So in this text, the square brackets indicate the parts of the text which has not actually been preserved on the stone, but which have been reconstructed. And this dedication translates as a gift for the victory over the Argives, the Athenians, and the Ionians, the 10th part for victory in war. So this is a Spartan dedication, and it was part of a votive offering in the form of a golden shield set up by the Spartans in Olympia after their victory over the Athenians and their allies in the Battle of Tanagra in 458 BCE. And this inscription is also quoted by the travel writer Pausanias, who lived in the 2nd century AD. So what you may note here is especially the large amount of long alphas in taan, dekataan, niikkaas. The difference between the Attic and the Doric dialect also becomes obvious when considering that this phrase in Attic would read as teen, dekateen, niikkees. So taan is actually the Western Greek variant of the Attic feminine singular accusative definite article teen, which we learned last time. So in other words, the preference for long alphas over etas in the Western Greek dialects is not restricted to the first declension feminine nouns, but it is in fact a defining feature of these dialects more generally. But that's all for now with regard to dialectical variation. And as I said, this dialectical variation is actually not part of this course either, since we are learning the Attic Greek variant, which is the paradigmatic form of classical Greek, but which will allow you to read and understand also all the other dialects. Also, if you are interested in the biblical dialects, or in this classical Greek dialect, will be a good basis for learning to read that as well. All right, that was the lecture. But the most important part of today's session is still to come. So we have the text that I asked you to translate. But before that, I thought we could start with a fast pronunciation exercise, because we didn't do that in the first sitting. So if I again share the screen, we can look at that together. Why is this blank now? Maybe this. Oh, good. Yeah. Let's see. Where did I have it? Here, pronunciation exercise. So let's just try reading these words together fast. Helen, would you like to take the 3 first? Try to read them. You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you're there and reachable. No? How about Alex? Are you there? What does the Chuck say? Oh, all right. Nigel. No, but you didn't have in the shared space. Okay, let's see if someone is here. Christina, how about you? Can you read at all? No one has a mic and no one has a video. But Tofi, you're there.
I'm here, but I can't see it. I've got a blank screen.
Oh, but you don't have anything now. You
No,
don't.
I don't have. Yeah, I can't see you, and I can't see the screen. It's just a blank screen.
Okay. Does anyone else have the same problem that they can't see the screen? Simon can see it. Okay. Well, if I stop sharing again, and maybe we just forget about this pronunciation exercise because very few people actually. You see it now?
I can try the second one.
Okay, but try the first one. What do you get of
second one?
Second one, okay.
Gallicant.
This one, which are
yes.
One. Okay, that's
Jack.
Okay.
That is.
What's this first letter? What's the first letter here?
Gimma.
Yep.
Gimma.
Exactly. And second?
Yoda.
Yoda, exactly. And the third one?
Gimma again.
Yeah.
Chase. Alpha.
Alpha, yeah.
And so I think it's Gioka.
Sigma, yeah.
Gigma. Giga.
Yeah.
Giga.
Actually, it's
Giga.
Yeah.
Giga.
Gigas.
Gigas. I
Yeah.
got it. Gigas.
Yeah, very good. Very good. You got it.
Gigas. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Actually, I think that we can leave the pronunciation exercise, but I'll send this to you anyway, also along with the material, so you can try reading these words by yourself. And if you want to try to exercise to read them, you can also contact me and we can take a private tutoring session when you can train this reading. But I think for now we can just leave it and move on to the text instead. So see if we can.
Why don't you pronounce it together? Why don't you just do it together?
Then it would be just me reading, because no one has.
We repeat after you for now.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, I can take the 5 first ones. So this is just my way of pronouncing as well. So you shouldn't take this as an authoritative version. But this one is the third one here after Gigas is Apollon. Then we have Bacchus. Then we have Platon. Then we have Demosthenes. Then we have Aphrodite. And then we have Epidauros. So that's how I would pronounce them. So, but I'll send you this if you want to look at this yourself then. later. Okay, but let's look at this translation exercise in the textbook. So, since you started, Helen, and you're in the you're in the mood, then maybe you could try your hands on this first sentence here. Have you had time to look at it?
Oh God.
So this is the first sentence up until this esti.
Oh. X O X XP Vervook that can no.
You don't have to try to actually read it, but have you had time to look at this at all at home? You didn't have time beforehand. Okay. Well, then it can be a bit complicated. So maybe you can just follow, and let's see if someone else have time to actually look at this text beforehand. So if you don't have an mic and possibility to speak, then maybe you can write in the chat if you have some suggestion. So Alex, for instance, do you have a suggestion for the first sentence here? If you do, then please write in the chat. What happened with the chat actually now? My chat disappeared. I have to stop sharing the screen for a while and okay. So Alex didn't have a suggestion there. Oh, there's the chat. So the next one then. Tofi, do you have a suggestion for the first sentence? Can you see the screen now?
No, still can't see the screen, but I've opened it up on my email, so I'm
Oh,
just
good.
trying to get to it. There's an and in there.
And did you say?
I think it's an and.
So the first sentence.
Yeah, in the first sentence, the fourth word is and.
This tone. Do you think about this tone? So first word is ho, chronos didaskalos ton anthropon estin. So this is the whole sentence. Are you looking at the same file now? So there.
Is it the one that you shared with me earlier?
Sorry, it's the file which contains a Greek text, just a Greek text. Chronos didaskalos ton anthropon estin.
Yes, that is the right one.
Yeah. So you were looking at the fourth word. Is it that the one which you were thinking about, or did you look at some other text, perhaps?
I think we are looking at the same text. I can just,
because I can say that much, that there is not any word here in this first sentence which means and.
Okay, then maybe I'm just misreading letters.
Oh, but actually, we got this first sentence now by Alex. So his proposition was the time is the men's teacher, and that's quite correct. The time is the men's teacher, or the time is the teacher of men, or the time is the teacher of human, could be. So first we have here chronos, which means time, chronos. So it's in the nominative singular, and that means that it's likely to be the subject of the sentence. So you remember the subject is the one which is usually doing something in the sentence. But then we have another word, the second word, didaskalos, which is also in the nominative singular, which means teacher. But it's not actually the subject of the sentence. The subject of the sentence is this chronos. So this didaskalos is like a predicative complement or a complement noun. So it completes the meaning of this first, the subject. So the two or three first words, the first one, ho, that's a definite article. So that's just the definite article, which is basically the same as the English the. So the time, ho, chronos, and then didaskalos, teacher. So the time, teacher. And then we have ton anthropon. So that means humans, but it's in the genitive plural here. So it's of the teachers, ton anthropon. It's like an possessive genitive here. And then we have this last word, estin. That's like that's just mean is. So it's like third person singular form of the word of the verb eimi, which means to be, or eimi is I am, but here it's in the third person singular. So then it's is, he, she, it is. So in this case, it is, the time is. So word by word, this is the time teacher of men is. So time is the teacher of humans, or time is the teacher of men. Ton anthropon, in the nominative singular, it's ho anthropos. So that's like the human. So this ton, which you thought were could be kai, could be mean and it's actually a definite article. So it's the same as ho, but it's in a different number and case. So this ho is the nominative singular definite article for masculine words, and this ton is the genitive plural definite article. So it connects to this anthropon, which is also in the genitive plural. So here we have this congruence again. So if we have a noun in a certain number and case, then we have a definite article which connects to that noun. They have to be in the same number and case, and also in the same gender, which they are here. But the thing with the definite article when it's in the genitive plural is that it's the same for masculine, feminine, and neuter words. So ton is the same definite article in the genitive plural for whether it's a masculine, neuter, or a feminine word. But okay, that was the first sentence. Let's move further then. The second sentence. Maybe, Sophie, you could try the second sentence instead. This hoiduloi ento oikko eisin. How would you translate that? Are you connected? No. Okay. Does anyone have a suggestion for? Simon wrote, the slaves are in the house, and that's quite correct. So if you would analyze this verb form, oikoo, what number and case do you think it is? Simon, do you have a suggestion for a number and a case for oikoo here? Yes, masculine dative singular. So that's quite correct. So in this case, it's when you encounter a word in a certain or any noun form and start thinking about its case and number, then you or particularly maybe its case, then you can also think after you determine its case what kind of why it is in that case. So if it's a dative, you have to think why is it in the dative here. So well, here it's in the dative because actually because it's we have this preposition en, which means in. So it stands together or stands after this preposition en, which means in, and en always takes a dative. So en plus a dative is in somewhere, in this case in the house. And then we have here hoiduloi, which is in the nominative, and if you remember, the nominative is the case of the subject usually, but here it's not a nominative singular as we had here in the first sentence, hochronos, but here we have a nominative plural, so the slaves. And then we have here we had a third person singular form of Amy, of the verb to be. Here we have a third person plural form of the same verb, so asin, they are, or yeah, in this case the slaves are hoiduloi, asin. So here we have hoiduloi, it's the subject, and asin is the predicate. The predicate, if you remember, that's the verb which expresses the verb or the word in the sentence, which gives expression to what takes place or what happens in the sentence. We looked at the second sentence now, Tofi, but would you like to try your hands at the third sentence? Are you there now? Can you hear us?
I am. Yes, I am. I also don't know what I'm trying to read.
Your first, the one which begins with taumatso. This one. Can you see my screen now? You can see.
Yes, I can. Yes, it's. I think disconnecting and reconnecting has made it much better. Okay, so that was tau.
Yeah, this one.
I don't know.
We got a suggestion here actually by Christina, which is quite close. I admire or I adore the soldiers of war. Tus strategos does not mean soldiers, so it was almost correct. Tus strategos is from the ho strategos, which means general, ho strategos. And of war, you thought that this ton polemion was of war, but actually ton ton polemion is the genitive plural form of ho polemios, which means the enemy. So actually, this could be translated as I adore or I marvel at, maybe, or I admire. Taumatsu can have all of these meanings. I admire or I marvel at the generals of the enemy. So the enemy is generals. So tous strategos is the plural accusative form of ho strategos, which means general. So very close. There we had, Nigel had exactly the correct one. I admire the generals of the enemy in this case. So yeah, very good work. But Christina's was also very close. It's of course it's easy to mix ho polemios with ho polemos, which means ho polemos means war. So, but here we don't have ho polemos, but we have ho polemios. So there's an iota, additional iota there, and then it means the enemy. So here it's probably can be best translated into English in the singular, as Nigel did, the enemy, even though it's in the plural here. That's just the Greek way of saying the enemy in the plural usually. So here we had another possessive use of the genitive. Okay, let's move on to the fourth sentence then. Maybe we can follow this strategy that we had, that suggestions can be put in the chat. So who would like to put a suggestion here? You love gold and silver. We had. Yeah, it's very interesting how the meanings have changed over 2,000 years, but still are somewhat understandable for someone who knows modern Greek. I've also thought about this many times when I had students who know modern Greek, that they understand somehow. Many of them, of course, have read a lot of classical Greek, and then they understand well as well. But if they don't have, then they understand somehow, but not completely. You love the gold and the silver. We had you love gold and silver. Yeah. Stergeiston, kryson, kaiton, argyron. Yeah, it could be both. It could be you love gold and silver, or you love the gold and the silver. So actually, we have the definite article here, ton kryson and ton argyron. So maybe it could be translated as, if you are very literal, then you love the gold and the silver. So stergeis it's the predicate here, and it's the same time also the subject. So you love stergeis, second person singular of the verb stergo, which means to love. So you love stergeis. And then we have the object here, which is loved by you, and that's the gold, chrysos and argyros. So they are both here in the accusative case. The gold is in the accusative and the silver is in the accusative. So that's the, as I said in the last lecture, that's the accusative is usually the case which is used when you have the object of the sentence. So the object is here as per usual, expressed with the accusative. So ton is the definite article in the accusative singular, masculine accusative singular definite article. So these are both, chrysos and argyros are both masculine noun forms. So it's all of the noun forms we have here are in second declension noun forms, either masculine or feminine. So they all end in the nominative singular in os. If they are masculine and if they are feminine as well. So, but most second declension nouns are masculine. But we have some in feminine here as well in this text. So yes, okay, fifth sentence then. Suggestions in the chat. Ho strategos uk ehei phobon. So Simon has, and Nigel has, the general does not have fear of the enemy. Yes. The general does not have fear of the enemy, or the general does not fear the enemy. Yes. And general has no fear, exactly. We have that meaning there as well. So yes, the general here, it's the nominative word in the nominative singular, so it's the subject. Ho strategos. Ho is again the definite article, nominative singular, masculine, as we have learned. It was the same here, the very first word, so it's the same here. Ho strategos, the general. And then we have uk, which means not, so it's an negation. Uk ehei phobon ton polemion. What does the general not, and then we have ehei, which is third person singular form of the word echo, to have. So the general does not have, what does he not have? Then we have again the accusative object here, so the object of the sentence, and it's here. So phobon. Phobon is the accusative object. It doesn't have a definite article here, it just stands by itself without an article. So fear, as you correctly translated it. Fear, and then we have this ton polemion. So this is again, and maybe we start recognizing this article now. This is the genitive plural definite article. So this is a genitive form, this last one, ton polemion. So this is an different form of genitive from the ones we had so far. So far we had like possessive genitives or attributive genitives, but this is like more like an objective genitive. It's like the object, it gives expression to the object of fear here. So phobos ton polemion, fear for the enemy, maybe, or fear of the enemy could maybe also work in English. So it's the object of the fear here, actually, even though phobos is the actual object of the sentence, but then we have the object of the sentence, so to speak, here, ton polemion. But yeah, the general does not have fear for the enemy or of the enemy. So very good. So all these verb forms we had so far, they are all in the present tense, and they are all active forms, and they are all indicative forms. So if you go back to the material we had last lecture, you can rehearse what it means when a verb is in the present indicative active. It basically means that there is someone doing something, the subject is doing something, and doing it, it's an ongoing action. That's when it's a present tense, and then it's also something that's factually happening. That's the indicative mood. The indicative mood gives expression to something that's factually happening, usually. Okay, then we have this, is it now sixth sentence? Pisteuomen tois simachos. But did you have any suggestions here? We trust the allies, and Simon has the very same. We trust the allies, exactly. So this is the meaning. Pisteuomen tois simachos. So here we have, in the pisteuomen, we have again a subject and a predicate combined. So it's the first person plural form of pisteuo, which means I trust in in the first person singular. So, but here is not the first person singular, here is the first person plural, and then it's we trust. So pisteuo, we trust, and then here we have the object of trust is not expressed now in with an accusative, with the accusative case, which is normally the case. When this is because pisteuo is a verb which takes an dative object. So tois simachos is the dative plural form of ho simachos, which means ally. So here it's we trust the allies, or we trust our allies. You can also translate it as Christina had we believe in the allies. So that's pretty close as well. It could also be we trust our allies, because the definite article in classical Greece can also have this possessive sort of function. So it can be either the or our or his or her, depending on the context. So here it could be we trust our allies, but also we trust the allies. Okay. So dative plural form, this tois simachos. This is the dative plural masculine definite article, tois. Okay. Then the next sentence. Did you have any suggestions here? Ufeugete tus kindinus. Do not flee the dangers. Yeah, that could be. You do not flee the dangers. So this is feugete could be Nigel translated as an imperative, but we actually haven't had imperative forms yet. So imperative forms give expression to commands. But the thing with imperative forms are that they are sometimes formally identical with the corresponding indicative forms. So it could also be that, but then it would actually have a different negation here. So it wouldn't have u, it would have me. So actually it should be here read as an indicative, as I think Simon had it. So ufeugete tus kindinus is you do not flee or you do not escape the dangers. So tus kindinus means the dangers here. It's again an accusative object in the plural of ho kindinus, which means the danger. So and u is again a negation. So it's the same as uk that was up. We had an uk up here, uk. So it had a kappa here at the ending because the next word began with a vowel, with an epsilon. But here the next word begins with an phi, so with an consonant, and that's why it's u and not u. But it's a basic negation, so not literally not you flee the dangers. So you do not flee or escape or avoid the dangers or the perils or whatever word you want to use synonym. So again, an accusative object here, but in the plural. So this is the masculine accusative plural definite article, tus. So there's a lot of these definite articles here. So they are really good, a good thing to try to learn by heart, the different definite articles and how they are reflected in different numbers and cases. That would be a super useful thing if you could do. Okay, then here then the last sentence in this first paragraph here. What do we have here? Hoi anthropos tergusit on Pluto. Oh, it disappeared for T. Sorry for Tofi. I'm sorry about that. I don't know how to fix it, but the others can see it, as it seems. So Simon had The Men Love Wealth, very good. The People, Men Love the Wealth by Christina, so that's also very good. And Nigel also, The Humans Love Wealth or Humans Love Wealth. Yeah, all of these are very good. What happened now? I accidentally stopped sharing the screen, but now it's back. So yeah, that's completely correct. The men or the humans. So here we have again the subject hoi anthropoi in the nominative plural here. So the men or humans hoi anthropoi, and then we have the predicate here stergusi. It's in the first person. No, sorry, third person plural in this case. So they love. Who are the ones who love? Well, the men, as already stated. So the humans love, and then we have the object here. What do they love? They love the wealth, or yeah, maybe wealth can also be just here. So a possible translation, even though it has this definite article in the Greek form. So humans love wealth, or men love wealth, or people love wealth. So this is another thing that you always have to be mindful of, the ending of the verb forms, which gives you the number and the person of the verb form. So here, from this ending uusi, which could also have a ny at the ending, but not here because the following word begins with a consonant. From this ending uusi, we can see it derived that it's a third person plural ending. Okay, then we move on to paragraph 2. Does anyone have something here for hippoi gignoscusi ten hoda? We have different. Nigel has the horses know the road, very good. And Simon has the horses know the way, which is also a possible translation. So hoi hippoi, here we have again the subject in the nominative plural. Ho hippos is the nominative singular form, but here it's in the plural hoi. So as you can see from this definite article, which begins with hoi hippoi, the horses, and then we have the predicate here, again in the third person plural. So the same ending here, you can look at the same ending, uusi, as in the previous. So then you can see from that it's a third person plural. Hoi hippoi gignoscusi, and then we have, so the horses know. What do they know? So again, we have here an accusative object. But now we have a different gender. So far, all of these nouns we have looked at have been masculine in gender. But now we can see that the gender is different. How can we see that the gender is different? Well, this definite article here, which connects to this noun, is a feminine form of the definite article. So it's the accusative feminine singular form of the definite article. So hodos is a feminine noun in the second declension. All second declension nouns ends in hos in the nominative singular, but some of them are masculine and some of them are feminine. And this one is a feminine one, and that's why it has this different kind of article here. So, but it's a singular in the singular as well, just like this in the previous sentence. Ton Pluto is in the singular, accusative singular, but different gender. So the horses know the road or the way, as you had. Okay, then the second sentence in this second paragraph, Hai Parthenoi, Hai Rositais Biblois. Do you have anything here? The maidens carried the book, Simon. And then Nigel had the maidens enjoy the books. So I would go for this enjoy. If I had written in the glossary carry, then that was wrong. Chairo is definitely means to enjoy or take joy in or something like this. But here we have again third person plural form of it. So it connects to this nominative plural form of he parthenos, which means maiden. So the maidens. You can see from this definite article hai that it's in the plural, and it has this spiritus asper here. So if the definite article starts with a vowel or a diphthong, here it's a diphthong. It has a spiritus asper, and then it should be not I but hai, pronounced as hai. Hai parthenoi. The maidens enjoy. What do they enjoy? Well, they enjoy the books. So here we have again a dative. Tais is a dative, indicates that it's a dative form, dative plural form of the word. So feminine dative article, plural article here, tais, and then feminine dative plural form of the noun, which it connects to. So it's a dative object again. Haira takes a dative object, just like pisteuo took a dative object. So haira also takes a dative object. The maidens enjoy the books. That can be a possible translations here. Translation here. Pharaoh, of course, means Pharaoh would be carry. So if it would be Pharaoh, then it would be Hai Parthenoi Ferusi Tais Biblos. Then it would be, but then it wouldn't be Tais Biblos. Then it would be Tas Biblus. Hai Parthenoi Ferusi Tas Biblus. Then it would be the maidens carry the books, but here is the maidens enjoy the books with hairo. Okay. Third sentence here then. Do we have suggestions here? By caproi and entenes or eisin. The boards are on the island. Yeah, well, it was a minor mistake, so no worries. The boards are on the island, and then Nigel also has the boards are on the island, which is quite correct. So here we have again a subject in the nominative, but in the nominative plural again. So here we have again a masculine word because it has a masculine article. Masculine nominative plural article. Hoi. Hoi kaproi. That means the boards. And then we have again en, which was a preposition in, means in. So we had it before, en. So it's the same use here. En and a dative object in the island or on the island, of course, in English. So the boards on the island, and then we have the predicate here. So this gives expression to what happens. The boards are. So we have this as in the third person plural form of this verb aimi, which means to be, again, which we encountered before up here, asin, but here is also asin. So the boards on the islands on the island are, so the boards are on the island. Okay. Then we move on to the last paragraph, paragraph 3. To stratopedon and to pedio esti. What do we have here? Alex must leave. Okay, thank you very much as well. And a nice evening to you as well. The camp is in the field. We had two here, Simon and Nigel, I think. Exactly. So the camp, now we have our first noun, which is not an masculine and not an feminine noun, but it's an neuter noun. So here is a neuter nominative singular form, to stratoperon. So this is the subject is the one who does something in this sentence, so the doer or whatever. To stratoperon, the camp, and then we have again this n, preposition n, and the dative object for it. So the camp in the field, and then we have estin, which means is again. So third person singular form again, instead of plural like here. Okay, moving on to next one then. Taumatsamenta erga seu. What do you have here? We admire God's work, Christina, very good. And Nigel, we marvel at God's deeds. And Simon, we marvel at the work of God. So these are all very good and correct. So taumatsamen comes from taumatso. So here we have again predicate and subject combined in one, because it's possible, as I said, in Greek and in Latin as well. So you don't have you can just have a verb form, and that can be the predicate and the subject. You don't need to have a pronoun or a noun to go with it. So we, taumatsamen, we marvel or we admire. And then we have this ta erga, which here is the object of the sentence. So it's the object of marvel. So it's a neuter plural of to ergon, which means work or deed. But it could also, of course, be a nominative form. But as I said, when it's a neuter word, the nominative and accusative forms are always identical form-wise. But here it's an accusative clearly because it's the object in the sentence. So we marvel at the works, literally, because it's plural. We marvel or we admire the works of God, basically. So this is a genitive singular form of theos, which means God, but here it's in the singular. So it's another of these possessive genitive uses, the most common use of the genitive universally. Okay, then the following sentence: ho iatros ferei pharmakon tois teknos. Did you have something here? Here, the doctor brings medicine to, exactly. To what does? Oh, now I can't see it. Simon's there, but it looks to be quite similar to Nigel's. The doctor carries medicine to the children. Exactly. So here we have hoiatros, which is the subject, so the doctor, and then we have this fere. So here we have this fero, which means to carry. So third person singular form of that verb, because it connects to this iatros. So the doctor carries. What does he carry? The object. The object is here in the accusative. Pharmakon, which means medicine. So it's the accusative object here. So the doctor carries medicine, and then we have this tois teknos. So this is now the indirect object. As I said in the last lecture, a very common use of the dative, which we have here, dative plural of hoteknos, the children. A very common use of the dative in Greek is this use of the dative as an indirect object. So it's gives expression to answers the question for what something takes place. For what does this action which is performed and which is described in the sentence, for what does it take place? So here it's the children are sort of the benefactors. Can you say benefactors? Maybe, yeah. I think benefactors, the ones who the action is performed for. So, and that's why it's in the dative. So the doctor carries medicine to the children, or brings, yeah, maybe. Okay. Then we have the next to last sentence here. Suggestions here. Tos hoplois sootsamen tos philus ectu kindyno. So yes. We say our friends from danger with these weapons. By means of the weapons, we save the friends from danger. So these are very good suggestions. Tofi has, we save our friends from the danger of weapons. Could be, but this Christine has, by weapons we save the friends out of danger. So that's close to what I thought as well. And Simon also, by means of the weapons we save the friends from the danger. And Nigel, we save our friends from danger with these weapons. Yes. So here we have the sentence begins with a dative form. Tois hoplos. So that's the dative form of hoplos, which means the weapon. But here it's a dative plural. And why is it a dative plural here? Well, it's this kind of instrumental dative use. So the instrumental dative use is different from the dative as an indirect object, which we had here. So the instrumental dative is gives expression to the means by which an action is performed. So here it's by means of the weapons, or with weapons. And so the first word is with weapons, or by means of weapons, and then we have the predicate subject combination here, sootsamen, first person plural form of sootso, which means to save. So we save. With weapons, we save. And then we have the actual object here in the accusative plural, tos philus of philos. So friends, tos philos, our friends. Could it also be? Because as I said, this definite article can also have this possessive use. So with weapons, we save our friends. From what do we save our friends? So then we have here the answer from what, because we have this preposition ek, which means from. And ek always takes a genitive. So the reason why we have a genitive form here of kindynos, which means danger, is that we have this ek here. So from danger. So this is actually a partitive genitive. No, not partitive, but yeah, well, a partitive actually, from danger. So with weapons, we save our friends or the friends from danger. Okay. Last sentence then, suggestion here. Hoiton polemion simahai ehusi toxakai akontia. The allies of the enemies have bows and javelins. Very good. Nigel, the allies of the enemy have bows and javelins. Very good, both of these. So in this case, probably both the enemy and the enemies works in an English translation. So both the singular and the plural forms work. So exactly as you said. So here we have the subject of the sentence is again in the plural. Hoi simahoi. Hoi simahoi. But then we have here in the like attributive position between the definite article and the subject noun, we have this attributive or possessive genitive form in the plural as well. So hoitoon polemiaan, simahoi. The ally or the allies of the enemy or the enemies. The allies of the enemies here. And then we have the predicate here, which is an third person plural form of echo, to have. So here they have, that is the allies of the enemies, they have, and what do they have. So then we have here the accusative object. So we have two different accusative objects combined by this kai, this conjunction, which means and. So what do they have? They have bows and javelins. So these are both plural accusative forms of second declension neuter word. Toxon, akontion, this would be in the singular, nominative singular. But here they are in the accusative plural, because they are the objects here in the sentence. So the allies of the enemies have bows and javelins. Okay, so that was the first text chapter in the textbook. So very nice work. You had read it and understood it for most parts. So if you didn't if you feel like you want to try translate it again, if you didn't have time to do it, or look at it again, if you feel like it, you can write down your translations. You can send them to me, and I can look at them, correct them, and give you feedback on them. Otherwise, we will continue with the next chapter, chapter 2, next time, which will contain then a lot of nouns in the feminine nouns in the first person, in the first declension, feminine, which we had on this lecture, along with more second declension nouns as well. So this will be the new addition. Otherwise, the sentences will be quite simple still to begin it, but then gradually they will become more difficult. So that's going to be the homework for next time. So I'll send you all that material that you need for next time tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed this third lecture and the first reading session. So because there's going to be plenty of more of this. Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.